Say, man, once again, rest in peace to young Scooter, a.k.a. the Jug Man, a.k.a. the Jug King himself, man. Thoughts and prayers and condolences to his entire family, his children, and anybody out here in the world and out here in these streets, man, that felt any type of attachment or any type of emotional connection to young Scooter through his music, man. I got a little bit of an update of what the Fulton County examiners are saying and also what the G.B.I. has concluded as of now in their investigation, man. Let's get to the content. Say, man, if you watching this video right now, man, and you like how we kick it over here at GuddaTV, man, why don't you do me a favor and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your notification bells, man. It won't cost you nothing. I promise you. Why don't you go ahead and do that for the boy and help the channel out. Appreciate you.
Well, tonight, the G.B.I. is labeling the death of Atlanta rapper Young Scooter as an in-custody death. His real name is Kenneth Edward Bailey, originally from Walterboro, South Carolina, but making a name for himself in the music industry in Atlanta. Condolences from some of the biggest artists continue to pour in. Rapper Meek Mill posting on X, R.I.P. Young Scooter, an ATL generational leader that helped keep a lot of energy pumping out and into ATL. Prayers for your kids, family, and whole Free Bands family. As many continue to remember him, there are some questions still. How Young Scooter ended up dying after being pursued by Atlanta police last night. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live outside APD headquarters. And Cody, despite initial unconfirmed reports that spread like wildfire, APD says their officers never fired a shot.
That's right, Angelina. Now, what I can tell you is the only injury mentioned by APD was to Young Scooter's leg. They say he fell after jumping over a couple of fences. Now, just hours ago, I spoke to an orthopedic surgeon to get some context to how a leg injury could possibly lead to death. This was the scene on Friday night in the 200 block of William Nye Drive in the Lakewood neighborhood in southeast Atlanta. Police responding to a 911 call. APD Homicide Commander Lieutenant Andrew Smith.
Officers responded to a dispute with a weapon. It was advised in the call remarks that shots were fired and a female was dragged back into the location.
As officers tried to make contact with anyone in the home,
2 males fled out of the rear of the house.
APD says one of those men was Kenneth Bailey, better known as rapper Young Scooter. Lieutenant Smith says Bailey jumped 2 fences before officers caught up to him.
When officers located him on the other side of the fence, he appeared to have suffered an injury to his leg. There was no indication of anyone being shot. This appears that there was, when he fell, some type of fracture injuries to the leg, which caused the bleeding.
Possibly fracturing or breaking his femur, which orthopedic surgeon Dr. Craig Weil says isn't impossible.
Well, the femoral artery is quite large, and it could, if you broke your femur and it broke badly enough, the ends of the femur fracture could be sharp enough to cut the artery.
As for the fall,
it'd have to be a very hard fall.
Something you don't often see.
No, you don't. It's a relatively rare injury to have a femoral artery death. It's only about 10 to 15% of traumas, so it's not very high.
The Fulton County Medical Examiner says right now the cause and manner of death for Young Scooter is listed as undetermined. Of course, an autopsy is planned if it's not already been conducted. Now, the G.B.I. is investigating this in-custody death, Angelina, and of course, the autopsy results will hinge a lot on how they rule this investigation.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is now calling the death of Atlanta rapper Young Scooter an in-custody death. His real name, Kenneth Edward Bailey, and he was originally from South Carolina, but built his music career right here in Atlanta. Ariana Manish joins us live from G.B.I. headquarters, where questions still remain about how he died after a police pursuit. And Ariana, we spoke with a doctor who says while this fatal injury is rare, it is possible.
That's right, Dan. Atlanta police, they made it clear that no officer fired any shots during that pursuit after young Scooter. The only injury mentioned was to his leg when young Scooter fell while running from officers. Young Scooter died Friday night in southeast Atlanta on Lakewood Avenue. In that neighborhood, officers responded to a 911 call about a dispute with a weapon. Police say when they arrived, two men ran from the back of the home. One of them was young Scooter. He jumped 2 fences before police caught up with him and saw he had suffered a very serious leg injury. Doctors say a fractured femur can be life-threatening if it severs an artery. Take a listen.
Well, the femoral artery is quite large, and it could, if you broke your femur and it broke badly enough, the ends of the femur fracture could be sharp enough to cut the artery.
Now the G.B.I. and the medical examiner's office will determine the exact fatal injury that killed young Scooter. An autopsy will help answer some very key questions that still linger about his death as the G.B.I. continues to investigate.
Now, look, I'm not going to stray too far away from the facts as we understand them at this point. I'm not going to stray too far away from the news report. I'm just going to kind of let it be what it is. But at the end of the day, this shit just came out of nowhere, bro. This just came out of left field. And, you know, the initial reaction to this and the initial reports to this was wild and crazy. And it was a lot of miscommunication. And so they came out since then and tried to clean up a lot of this, but it was a mess from the start. So, you know, I guess, you know, more and more facts, more and more information is going to take time. But at the end of the day, bro, Scooter died behind this situation, bro. And it's hard for a lot of people to process and wrap their mind around it. But I guess that's why they call them freak accidents. And these type of situations do happen. We just read about them and hear about them from afar. But this situation right here is crazy, bro. But I do understand the medical experts and how this could be possible, because I'm aware of the arteries in the thigh. You know, you hear about people all the time, you know, get stabbed in the leg and they pass away. They get shot in the leg and pass away. I think that dude out in Texas, Dallas, Texas, Leroy, or whatever his name, rest in peace to Mo 3, rest in peace to Leroy, if I'm saying his name correctly. But he ended up passing away from a gunshot, you know, from a leg wound. And he was in the hospital, and then you turn around again, oh, he passed away. So these type of things do happen, but it's just, I don't know, I guess like when it's fresh, when it just happened, you kind of like, damn, you hear about, you know, gunshots and the police was involved and he was running, they was chasing him, jumped the fence and just died. So, you know, again, they came out and cleared up a lot of this. So, you know, I'm going to just let it be what it is. I ain't going to, you know, get too far off the rails and start speculating too much, man. It is what it is. And, you know, we just going to have to respect the facts as they come out. But I was interested to bring to y'all when they said, like, because the G.B.I. is saying that they're calling this a in-custody death. Also, you heard them reference the Fulton County medical examiner saying that their report is unconclusive. And so to get back to the G.B.I. calling this a in-custody death. So I pulled up something about in-custody death. So this is the first one that I found. Federal death in custody, a death that occurs while the descendant is detained or incarcerated for violating federal criminal or administrative law and housed in any facility designed to detain or incarcerate such individuals for longer than 72 hours, which didn't give me a whole lot of clarity, you know, just based on the situation as it stands, because, you know, Scooter ran out the door and he ran off allegedly, so he wasn't necessarily detained. But the other definition of an in-custody death gave me a little bit more clarity. It says this: process of arrest. The subject died while in the physical custody or under the physical restraint of law enforcement officers. even if the person was not formally under arrest at the time the subject was killed by any use of force by law enforcement officers. The subject died at the crime scene or arrest scene. So in the process of being arrested, they can label this in custody death. So I just want to kind of educate y'all a little bit on that, because I did not know. But apparently the definition of what they calling this does bear out in what I just read, and I'll read it again. Process of arrest. The subject died while in the physical custody or under the physical restraint of law enforcement officers, even if the person was not formally under arrest at the time the subject was killed by any use of force by law enforcement officers. So he didn't have to be physically detained or physically under arrest for them to call this in custody death. I get at y'all on the next one, man. Y'all be smooth. I'm out.